Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into some of the most unbelievable prohibitions in North Korea. Stick around to find out just how strict life can be in this secretive nation. Buckle up because we're about to take a deep dive into a place where the internet doesn't really exist, blue jeans are practically illegal, and Christmas might as well be a Tuesday. Honestly, after researching this, I'm starting to think my landlord's no saxophone after 8 p.m. rule isn't all that bad. Let's kick things off with a rule so restrictive it makes your average telemarketer seem like a beacon of free speech. The North Korean government has a bit of a control issue. They keep a tight lid on information flowing in and out. Think of it like a giant, heavily guarded information bubble. Getting caught making an unsanctioned call can land you in hot water. Now, let's talk fashion, or rather, the lack thereof. Forget about your skinny jeans, your ripped tights, your ironic fanny packs. In North Korea, Western fashion is about as welcome as a hole in the head. The government enforces a strict dress code, and let me tell you, it ain't exactly Milan Fashion Week. Men are expected to sport short, neat haircuts, while women have a limited selection of state-approved hairstyles. And don't even think about dyeing your hair a funky color unless you're particularly fond of prison-issued jumpsuits. Religion. Unless you're in North Korea, in which case it's probably best to keep your beliefs to yourself. The North Korean government has a bit of a monopoly on worship, with the Kim family being the main object of adoration. Practicing any other religion, be it Christianity, Buddhism, or even worshipping a particularly charismatic houseplant, is strictly forbidden. And the consequences, let's just say they make that time you stole a grape from the supermarket look like a walk in the park, so yeah, maybe leave the rosary beads and prayer mats at home. Ah, the internet. Unless you live in North Korea, that is, because in the Hermit kingdom, the internet, as we know it, pretty much doesn't exist. Instead, citizens have access to a heavily censored, government-controlled intranet, charmingly called Kwangmyong. So, say goodbye to Facebook, farewell to Google, and adieu to that 20-minute-long compilation of cats falling off things. Remember that time you spent an entire weekend binge-watching your favorite TV show, or got lost in a good book? Well, in North Korea, those simple pleasures are about as rare as a unicorn riding a roller coaster. Foreign movies, music, and books are all banned, considered dangerous vehicles of Western propaganda. Possessing or distributing such contraband can land you in hot water, with punishments ranging from fines to imprisonment. So if you're planning a trip to Pyongyang, you might want to leave your Lady Gaga CDs and Harry Potter books at home. Picture this. You're cruising down the open road, wind in your hair, radio blasting your favorite tunes. Okay, scratch that last part, because this is North Korea, remember? And in North Korea, private car ownership is about as common as a vegan butcher shop. The vast majority of citizens rely on public transportation, bicycles, or good old-fashioned walking to get around. This lack of private vehicles is partly due to economic factors, but it also helps the government keep a tight leash on its citizens' movements, so yeah, maybe bring your walking shoes. That feeling when you're scrolling through Instagram looking at pictures of your friends' vacations, and you're suddenly struck with a serious case of wanderlust? Yeah, that's not really a thing in North Korea. For the average citizen, traveling abroad is about as likely as finding a decent bagel in Pyongyang. The government tightly controls who can leave the country, and it's usually only for official business or to represent North Korea in sporting events. And attempting to defect? Let's just say the consequences are about as pleasant as a root canal performed by a bear. Remember that time you complained about the government on social media? Or maybe you just grumbled about the long lines at the post office? Well, in North Korea, those seemingly innocuous actions could land you in some seriously hot water. Criticizing the government or its leaders, even in private conversations, is a big no-no. The government has a vast network of informants and keeps a close eye on its citizens, monitoring everything from phone calls to internet usage. So, yeah, maybe keep those rebellious thoughts to yourself. Ah, the American dream, working hard, building a business, and achieving financial independence. Unless you live in North Korea, in which case that dream is about as attainable as a pet unicorn. The North Korean government maintains a tight grip on the economy, with most businesses being state-owned and operated. Private enterprise is extremely limited, and those who do manage to open a shop or restaurant face constant scrutiny and interference. So, if you're thinking about opening a trendy coffee shop or launching a tech startup, you might want to look elsewhere. Picture this. It's Christmas morning, and children are tearing open presents under a beautifully decorated tree. But wait, this is North Korea we're talking about, and such festive cheer is about as welcome as a mariachi band at a funeral. The government views these celebrations as decadent symbols of Western culture and a threat to their own ideology. So, if you're caught belting out Christmas carols or carving pumpkins, you might find yourself on the wrong side of the law. Freedom of speech. Unless you're in North Korea, that is, where expressing your opinion can be about as risky as playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded revolver. The North Korean government maintains an iron grip on information, and dissent is not tolerated. Public criticism of the government, its policies, or especially its leaders, is a one-way ticket to a world of hurt. This lack of free speech creates a climate of fear and self-censorship, where citizens are afraid to speak their minds, even in private. Remember that time you met up with friends for Frisbee? In North Korea, such gatherings could land you in hot water. Unauthorized gatherings are strictly prohibited. Stick to government-approved activities like synchronized clapping. Imagine going to a store and trying to pay with a fistful of Monopoly money. You'd probably get laughed out of the building, right? Well, in North Korea, using foreign currency is about as effective as paying with those colorful pieces of paper. The North Korean won is the official currency, and using anything else is strictly prohibited. So if you're planning a trip to Pyongyang, leave your dollars, euros, and yen at home. Remember that time you went on vacation and took a million pictures of, well, everything? The food, the scenery? Yeah, that's not really a thing in North Korea. The government has strict rules about what can and cannot be photographed, and snapping a picture of the wrong thing can land you in serious trouble. So if you do find yourself in North Korea, you might want to leave your camera at home. Imagine a world without Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, or even the Very Hungry Caterpillar. Sounds pretty bleak, right? Well, in North Korea, that's the reality. Western literature, from classic novels to contemporary bestsellers, is strictly prohibited. So, if you're planning a trip to Pyongyang, you might want to leave your Kindle at home and brush up on your North Korean poetry instead. Remember those lively debates you used to have about current events? Or catching up on the news with your morning coffee? In North Korea, the government controls all media, censoring what citizens can see, hear, and read. Citizens only see the government's narrative of a prosperous nation, ignoring any unpleasant realities, like a weatherman insisting it's sunny when it's raining. Imagine a world without Beyoncé, the Beatles, or even the dulcet tones of Celine Dion. Sounds eerily quiet, doesn't it? Well, in North Korea, that's the reality. Western music, from pop and rock to hip-hop and classical, is strictly prohibited. So if you're planning a trip to Pyongyang, you might want to leave your iPod at home and brush up on your North Korean military marches instead. Remember that time you spontaneously decided to take a road trip, exploring hidden gems and quirky roadside attractions? Yeah, that's not really a thing in North Korea. Citizens need special permission from the government to travel within the country, especially if they're going to another province or region. This internal passport system allows the government to control the movement of its citizens and prevent any unauthorized gatherings or activities. So, if you're thinking about hopping in a car and heading to the beach for the weekend, you might want to check with the authorities first. Remember that time you struck up a conversation with a friendly local while traveling abroad? Or maybe you just exchanged smiles with someone on the street. In North Korea, such interactions are unwelcome. The government discourages contact between citizens and foreigners. Citizens are instructed to avoid interacting with visitors, so brush up on your awkward silence and forced smile techniques. Remember those heated classroom debates about history and philosophy? In North Korea, such pursuits are as rare as a vegan steakhouse. The education system is tightly controlled, focusing on propaganda and indoctrination. Western educational materials are strictly prohibited. So, there you have it. A glimpse into the strange and often unsettling world of North Korea, where everyday freedoms are curtailed, information is tightly controlled, and the simplest of pleasures, like watching a movie, listening to music, or even having a conversation with a foreigner, can be fraught with risk. It's a stark reminder of the importance of the freedoms we often take for granted. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.